My twins exposed my secret at their billionaire CEO dad's wedding that I'm expecting his third child. The reception hall went silent. Every champagne glass froze midair. Every conversation died on perfectly glossed lips. And there, in the middle of my ex-husband's wedding reception, surrounded by 300 of the city's elite, my 10-year-old daughter's voice rang out like a bell. Mommy's going to be a mother again. She has a baby in her tummy. Adrian's face was drained of color. His bride, Serena, still in her $20,000 Vera Wang gown, turned to stare at me. The string quartet stopped playing. Even the ice sculptures seemed to stop melting. And me. Danielle Rivers. Standing there in my modest department store dress, 5 weeks pregnant with my billionaire ex-husband's third child, watching my entire world implode in real time. Adrian took a step toward me. His voice came out strangled. Danny. Is this true? I opened my mouth, but no words came. Because what could I possibly say? That yes, I was pregnant. That yes, it was his. That yes, I'd been hiding it because he was literally getting married to someone else. That 6 weeks ago, during a thunderstorm, when he'd shown up at my apartment soaked and vulnerable, asking if we could talk about the twins' birthday party, one thing had led to another and now here we were. Serena's perfectly composed face finally cracked. Her voice trembled. Adrian. What is she talking about? Before I could answer, before Adrian could speak, my son Mason's small voice cut through the tension. We weren't supposed to tell, Mila. Mom said after the wedding. Have you ever held a secret so big it felt like it was burning a hole through your chest? Have you ever watched someone you loved marry someone else while carrying their child? Have you ever made one mistake, one moment of weakness, that changed absolutely everything? Because 4 days before this moment, before my daughter's innocent honesty destroyed a wedding, before 300 guests witnessed the most spectacular scandal Silvercrest Heights had seen in years, I was standing in my bathroom staring at a pregnancy test, knowing my life was about to get infinitely more complicated. And if you've ever faced an impossible situation, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story will remind you that sometimes the truth finds its way out, no matter how hard we try to hide it. Let me take you back to where this all started. 4 days before the wedding. 4 days before everything fell apart. The bathroom was too bright. I'd installed those LED bulbs last month because they were energy efficient and cost effective, the kind of practical decisions single mothers make when they're pinching pennies. Now I wished for darkness. For shadows to hide in. For anything but the harsh, unforgiving light illuminating the pregnancy test on my marble counter. 3 lines. Clear as daylight. Clear as the mistake I'd made 6 weeks ago. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I gripped the edge of the sink, staring at my reflection. 32 years old. Dark circles under my eyes from another late night finishing a logo design for a client who'd pay me just enough to cover groceries and utilities. Hair pulled back in a messy bun because I hadn't had time for a proper shower. This wasn't how my life was supposed to go. I was supposed to be established by now. Stable. Moving forward. Instead, I was a single mother of 10-year-old twins, working freelance graphic design jobs from my modest 2-bedroom apartment in Silvercrest Heights affordable district. The kind of neighborhood where Adrian Wolf's security team probably wouldn't even stop for gas. And now I was pregnant. Again. By my billionaire ex-husband. Who was getting married to someone else in 4 days. The irony wasn't lost on me. I pressed a hand to my still flat stomach, tears blurring my reflection. Another piece of Adrian I'd carry alone. Another secret that couldn't stay hidden forever. My phone buzzed on the counter, the vibration loud against the marble. I picked it up with trembling fingers. A text from Adrian's assistant. Professional. Impersonal. Exactly like everything in Adrian's world had become. Reminder, wedding this Saturday at Crystal Manor Hotel. Mr. Wolf requests Mila and Mason arrive by 2 p.m. for family photos. Family photos. The phrase felt like a knife twisting in my chest. What family? His new family. The one that didn't include me. The one where I was just the ex-wife, graciously invited to maintain appearances, to show the world that blended families could coexist peacefully. I sank onto the closed toilet seat, head in my hands. The wedding was in 4 days. Serena had extended the invitation herself, appearing at my door 3 weeks ago with that warm, genuine smile that made it impossible to hate her. I could still hear her voice. Kind. Sincere. Danielle, I know this might be awkward, but I want the children to feel included. This is their father's special day too. And honestly, I'd really like you to be there. Not just for Mila and Mason, but because you're part of Adrian's story. Part of what made him who he is. I'd wanted to slam the door in her face. Not because she'd done anything wrong, but because she was everything I wasn't. Poised. Polished. At ease in Adrian's world of glass towers and charity galas. She fit. I never had. Instead, I'd smiled and said yes, because what else could I do? Tell her no, I can't watch you marry the man I never stopped loving. Can't stand there pretending my heart isn't breaking. Can't be gracious when every cell in my body wants to scream that he was mine first. The bathroom suddenly felt too small. I stood, pacing the tiny space. 5 steps one way. 5 steps back. The pregnancy test seemed to mock me from the counter. I couldn't tell Adrian. Not now. Not when he was days away from pledging his life to someone else. Someone who probably fit perfectly into his designer suits and penthouse lifestyle. Someone who wouldn't anchor him to the messy, complicated past he'd worked so hard to leave behind. But Mila and Mason deserved to know they'd have a sibling. They deserved honesty. I'd raised them to value truth, to speak up, to never hide who they were. And there was the problem. Because my twins were honest to a fault. Incapable of keeping secrets, especially from their father. Especially Mila, who chattered like a magpie and couldn't hide her feelings to save her life. My phone rang. Adrian's name flashed on the screen. For a wild moment, I considered not answering. Letting it go to voicemail. Hiding like a coward. But habit and co-parenting courtesy won out. I answered. Hello. Danny. His voice still did things to me. Even through the phone. Still carried that low timbre that had once whispered promises in the dark. That had told me I was beautiful when I was 9 months pregnant and felt like a whale. That had said I love you in a courthouse ceremony when we were both broke and stupid and convinced love was enough. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. You're marrying someone else while I'm carrying your child, I thought. There's no good time. It's fine, I managed. What's up? I wanted to check about Saturday. The twins mentioned they need new outfits for the wedding. I can send a car to take them shopping, or if you prefer to choose yourself, just send me the receipts and I'll transfer the money immediately. Always so practical. So efficient. So thoroughly Adrian. Adrian. I cut him off gently. I've got it handled. A pause. In that silence, I heard all the words we'd never said. All the conversations we'd avoided. All the feelings we'd buried under practical co-parenting arrangements and polite text messages about pickup times and school events. Danny, are you okay? His voice shifted, concern bleeding through the professional veneer. You sound different. Tired maybe. I closed my eyes, fighting the urge to tell him everything. To unload this crushing weight. To hear him say something, anything, that would make this easier. I'm fine, I lied. Just tired. Late night working on a client project. Logo design for a new restaurant downtown. Another pause. I could picture him in his corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Silvercrest Heights. The city sprawling beneath him like a kingdom he'd conquered. Brow furrowed in that way that created a small crease between his eyebrows. The same crease Mila had inherited. If you need anything, anything at all, you know you can call me. The settlement was generous, but if you need more for the business or the apartment or... I know. I cut him off before he could finish. Before he could remind me that he'd given me everything except what I actually wanted. Him. I should go, I said quickly. Client call soon. Right. Of course. He cleared his throat. Professional again. Distant. I'll see you Saturday then. And Danny. Thank you. For what? For being so gracious about all of this. Serena really appreciates it. I appreciate it. I know this can't be easy, having your ex-husband get remarried, but you've been nothing but kind and supportive. It means more than you know. The gratitude felt like a slap. Like salt in a wound that had never properly healed. I ended the call before I said something I'd regret. Before I screamed that no, actually, this wasn't easy. That watching him marry someone else while pregnant with his child felt like a form of emotional warfare I wasn't equipped to survive. The pregnancy test stared back at me. 3 lines that changed everything. Again. I thought about how we'd met. 7 years ago. A coffee shop near the startup incubator where he'd been building his tech empire from nothing. I'd been sketching logo concepts for a client, my art supplies scattered across a corner table, completely in my zone. And then this guy had leaned over my shoulder. Tall. Intense eyes. Slightly disheveled in that way that suggested he'd been working for 36 hours straight. Your color theory is off, he'd said. I'd looked up, ready to tell this stranger exactly where he could shove his unsolicited advice. But then he'd smiled. This boyish, slightly sheepish smile that transformed his entire face. I'm sorry. That was rude. I'm Adrian. I have this terrible habit of offering opinions nobody asked for. My business partner says I need to work on my social skills. I'd laughed despite myself. Your business partner is right. But okay, Mr. Color Theory expert. What's wrong with my design? He'd pulled up a chair. Started explaining how the blue I'd chosen would look different on screen versus print. How certain color combinations created psychological responses. How branding was as much science as art. He'd been insufferable. Arrogant. Completely sure of himself. I'd been charmed. Intrigued. Drawn in by his passion, his intensity, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about changing the world through technology. We'd talked for 3 hours. He'd bought me 4 coffees. I'd shown him my portfolio. He'd shown me wireframes for an app that would revolutionize data security for small businesses. I'm going to build something important, he'd said. Something that matters. Something that helps people. And he had. Tech Vanguard Solutions had grown from a scrappy startup in a cramped incubator space to a billion-dollar empire. Adrian had transformed from the passionate dreamer I'd fallen for into someone I barely recognized. We'd gotten married 6 months after that coffee shop meeting. City Hall ceremony. Both of us broke. Both of us happy. Both of us convinced that love was enough. It wasn't. As his company grew, as success piled upon success, as investors threw money at him and headhunters called with offers he couldn't refuse, Adrian had grown with it. Or maybe grown away from it. Away from me. Board meetings replaced date nights. International conferences replaced lazy Sunday mornings. His phone became an extension of his hand, constantly buzzing with demands that always seemed more important than whatever I was saying. The twins had been a surprise. Conceived during a rare weekend getaway to wine country when we'd briefly recaptured what we'd lost. I'd been terrified and hopeful in equal measure. Convinced that becoming parents would bring us back together. Instead, it had highlighted every crack in our foundation. Adrian had tried. In his way. He'd hired the best nannies. Converted our Victorian loft spare room into a state-of-the-art nursery with every gadget and device the internet recommended. Established trust funds before the twins were even born. Made sure they'd never want for anything material. But he'd missed Mila's first word because of a meeting in Singapore. Had arrived home 3 hours after Mason's first steps, apologizing profusely while scrolling through emails on his phone. Had forgotten our anniversary 3 years in a row. Had promised to make it to the twins' first day of kindergarten and shown up 2 hours late, missing the whole thing. I'd felt myself disappearing. Becoming a ghost in my own life. The woman who'd once painted murals and dreamed of opening her own design studio had been swallowed by diapers and sleepless nights and the soul-crushing loneliness of being married to someone who was never actually there. The divorce had been inevitable. Surprisingly civil. Almost businesslike, which had hurt more than if he'd fought for me. If he'd screamed or cried or begged me to stay. Instead, he'd nodded. Said he understood. Asked what I needed to make the transition easier. He'd given me everything in the settlement. The loft apartment in the expensive part of town, which I'd immediately sold to buy my current modest place and fund my freelance business. Generous child support that covered every expense and then some. Shared custody that he actually honored, appearing for his weekends with the twins with a consistency that mocked the absence he'd shown during our marriage. He'd even referred clients to my freelance business. High-profile companies that paid well and built my portfolio. Helped me establish credibility in an industry that was hard to break into. He'd given me everything except what I'd actually wanted. Him. And now Serena Vale was getting what I'd lost. I'd met her once. 3 months ago. Adrian had asked if he could introduce his new fiancée to the twins. Professional. Courteous. Treating me like a co-parent and nothing more. They'd arrived at my apartment on a Saturday afternoon. Serena had stepped out of Adrian's Tesla in a casual sundress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Perfectly styled hair. Tasteful jewelry. The kind of woman who looked effortlessly put together. Danielle. She'd extended her hand, her smile warm and genuine. It's so nice to finally meet you. Adrian's told me so much about you. About your work. I looked at your portfolio online. You're incredibly talented. I'd wanted to hate her. Wanted to find something, anything, that justified my jealousy. Some flaw. Some hint of fakeness. But she'd been kind. Really, truly kind. She'd asked thoughtful questions about my design work. Complimented the twins' artwork on my refrigerator. Listened attentively when Mila had rambled on about her science fair project. Made Mason laugh with a terrible knock-knock joke. She'd been perfect. And that had somehow made everything worse. Because I couldn't even have the satisfaction of hating her. Couldn't tell myself that Adrian had downgraded. Couldn't convince myself that he'd regret leaving me. Serena was everything I wasn't. Poised. Polished. Comfortable in Adrian's world of wealth and influence. She worked in venture capital. Understood his business. Could attend those insufferable charity galas without feeling like a fraud. Could make small talk with billionaires without breaking into a cold sweat. She fit into his life in a way I never had. A knock on the bathroom door startled me from my thoughts. Mom. Mila's voice. Concerned. Are you okay? You've been in there forever. I quickly wiped my eyes, shoved the pregnancy test into my pocket, and opened the door. Mila stood there in her favorite purple hoodie, dark hair pulled into a ponytail, Adrian's intense eyes staring at me with 10-year-old wisdom. I'm fine, baby. Just tired. She didn't look convinced. Mila had always been perceptive. Too perceptive for her own good sometimes. You look sad, she said quietly. Is it about Dad's wedding? Out of the mouths of babes. It's complicated, I said, which was the understatement of the century. Do you still love him? The question hit me like a physical blow. I sank down to her level, cupping her face in my hands. Sweetie, grown-up feelings are complicated. Your dad and I will always care about each other because we have you and Mason. But sometimes people love each other and still can't be together. That doesn't make sense. I know. I pulled her into a hug. I know it doesn't. Mason appeared in the hallway, quieter than his sister but just as observant. Where Mila was all emotions and words, Mason was thoughtful, analytical. He watched everything, processed everything, missed nothing. Are we still going to the wedding? He asked. Of course. Your dad wants you there. And Serena's been very kind to include us. But you don't want to go, Mason said. Not a question. A statement. I sighed. Lying to them felt wrong. But the full truth felt impossible. I want to be there for you guys, I said carefully. I want you to have a good relationship with your dad and with Serena. That's what matters. Mila pulled back from the hug, studying my face. You're still really pretty, Mom. Way prettier than Serena. I laughed despite everything. Mila, that's not how this works. It should be, she said stubbornly. Dad's dumb for not seeing it. Mason nodded in agreement, and my heart swelled. These kids. My beautiful, loyal, wonderful kids. I love you both, I said, pulling them close. So much. We stood there in the hallway, the three of us wrapped in a hug, and I felt the weight of what I was carrying. Not just the pregnancy. The secret. The burden of adult complications that children shouldn't have to witness. That night, after I'd tucked them both into bed, after the apartment had gone quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic, I sat on my bed and pulled out the pregnancy test again. I needed to tell someone. The secret was eating me alive. But who? My mom was in Florida, dealing with her own health issues. I couldn't dump this on her. My best friend from college had moved to Seattle 2 years ago. We texted occasionally but weren't close enough anymore for this level of crisis. I was alone with this. Just like I'd been alone through most of my marriage. Just like I'd been alone through the divorce. Just like I'd been alone building my business and raising my kids and trying to pretend I was fine when I was drowning. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hi Danielle. This is Serena. Adrian gave me your number. I hope that's okay. I wanted to personally thank you for agreeing to come to the wedding. It means the world to both of us. And I wanted you to know that I'd love to talk sometime, just the two of us. Maybe coffee. I know I'm marrying your ex-husband and that's complicated, but I'd really like us to be friends. For the kids' sake if nothing else. No pressure though. Just extending the offer. Hope you're having a good evening. I stared at the message. Friends. She wanted to be friends. The woman marrying the man I loved wanted to grab coffee and chat. Like we were normal people in a normal situation. Like I wasn't carrying Adrian's baby while she planned to pledge her life to him in 4 days. Drop a comment if you think she should tell him the truth, or keep scrolling to see what happens next. I didn't respond to Serena's text. Just set my phone aside and curled up on my bed, one hand on my stomach, tears finally falling. For days until the wedding. For days to decide whether to tell Adrian the truth or let him walk into his new marriage blind. For days to figure out how to survive watching the man I'd never stopped loving promise forever to someone else. The pregnancy test sat on my nightstand. A physical reminder that secrets don't stay buried. That truth has a way of demanding to be told. I just didn't know that my 10-year-old twins were about to make that decision for me. The next morning arrived with the particular cruelty that only important days possess. Brilliant sunshine mocking my exhaustion. Birds singing cheerfully outside my window. The universe utterly indifferent to my crisis. I'd barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Adrian's face. Heard his voice. Remembered the night 6 weeks ago when everything had changed again. It had been raining. One of those sudden thunderstorms that turned Silvercrest Heights into a river. I'd been working late, trying to finish a logo design for a demanding client, when my doorbell had rung. Adrian had stood there, drenched. Hair plastered to his forehead. Designer suit soaked through. Looking nothing like the composed billionaire CEO the world knew. "I'm sorry," he'd said. "I know it's late. I was driving by and the storm got bad and I just... Can we talk? About the twins' birthday party. I have some ideas." I should have said no. Should have told him to text me his ideas like a normal co-parent. Should have kept the boundary we'd so carefully constructed. But he'd looked vulnerable. Lost. More like the man I'd married than the stranger he'd become. So I'd let him in. Made coffee. Started discussing birthday party logistics. And then somehow we'd started talking about other things. Real things. He'd told me about the pressure of running Tech Vanguard. The loneliness of success. How every decision affected thousands of employees and he couldn't afford to be wrong. I told him about the struggles of freelancing. The feast or famine cycle. The constant hustle. The fear that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, successful enough. We'd talk like we used to. Before the money and the pressure and the distance. Just two people who'd once loved each other, remembering why. And then he'd looked at me. Really looked at me. The way he had in that coffee shop 7 years ago. "I miss this," he'd said quietly. "Miss talking to you. You're the only person who knew me before everything changed. Adrian. I know. I know I'm getting married. I know this is inappropriate. I just needed you to know. That I see you. That I remember. I should have asked him to leave. Should have protected myself. Protected us both. Instead, I'd kissed him. Or he'd kissed me. It didn't matter who started it. What mattered was that for one night, we'd fallen back into old patterns. Old desires. Old feelings that had never really died, just been buried under divorce papers and polite co-parenting. He'd left before dawn. Hadn't said anything except, "I'm sorry," and "this can't happen again." And it hadn't. We'd gone back to our careful distance. Our professional texts. Our scheduled custody exchanges. Until now. Until 3 lines on a pregnancy test had made distance impossible. I dragged myself out of bed, splashed cold water on my face, and went to make breakfast for the twins. Mila and Mason were already awake, sitting at the kitchen table working on homework they'd forgotten about over the weekend. "Morning, Mom," Mason said, not looking up from his math worksheet. "Morning, baby. How's the homework going?" "It's stupid. Why do we need to know about fractions? When am I ever going to use this in real life?" I smiled despite my exhaustion. "You'd be surprised. Cooking uses fractions. Splitting a pizza. Measuring for art projects." Mila looked up from her social studies worksheet, studying me with those 2 knowing eyes. "You still look tired. Did you sleep?" "A little. I'm fine." She didn't look convinced, but thankfully she didn't push. I made them pancakes. Their favorite. Chocolate chip with whipped cream. The kind of breakfast that required actual effort, that said "I love you" without words. As they ate, chattering about their upcoming week at school, I watched them. Really watched them. Mila with her animated expressions, hands moving as she talked. Mason quieter but engaged, occasionally correcting his sister's wild exaggerations. They were good kids. Great kids. And they deserved better than the mess I'd created. After breakfast, after they'd left for school with hugs and lunch boxes, I sat alone in my apartment staring at my laptop. I had 3 design projects due by Friday. Work I couldn't afford to blow off. Clients depending on me. But I couldn't focus. Couldn't think about color schemes and brand identity when my entire life was imploding. My phone rang. Adrian's mother. Helen Wolfe. I considered not answering. Helen had always been kind to me, even after the divorce. But talking to her now, with this secret burning a hole through my chest, felt impossible. Still. I answered. Danielle. Sweetheart. How are you? Helen's warm voice brought unexpected tears to my eyes. She'd been more of a mother to me than my own in many ways. Patient. Understanding. Never judgmental. I'm okay, Helen. How are you? Busy with wedding preparations. You know how it is. Or I suppose you don't, actually. Your wedding to Adrian was at City Hall with a handful of people. I smiled at the memory. Simpler times. Happy times, I thought. A pause. Danielle, I hope this isn't too forward, but are you all right? Really all right. Adrian mentioned you sounded stressed when he called the other day. The kindness in her voice nearly broke me. Just busy with work. The twins. Life. If you need anything, anything at all, please call me. I know the wedding might be difficult. You and Adrian were married for 5 years. Those feelings don't just disappear because papers are signed. If only she knew. I appreciate that, Helen. Really. The twins are excited about Saturday. Mila called me 3 times to discuss her dress. That girl has opinions. I laughed. She gets that from your son. True. Adrian was impossibly stubborn even as a child. Her voice softened. I know Serena isn't you, Danielle. For what it's worth, I always hoped you and Adrian would find your way back to each other. The confession stunned me. Helen. I'm not saying this to make things harder. Just being honest. You were good for my son. You grounded him. Made him laugh. Reminded him there was more to life than work and money and success. When you divorced, something in him changed. Or maybe it just solidified. He became all business. All strategy. All control. He seems happy with Serena. He seems content. That's not the same thing. But I'm his mother. I'm biased. I see things that might not be there. Ignore me. I'm just an old woman being sentimental. We talked for a few more minutes about the twins, about her garden, about nothing important. When we hung up, I felt more confused than ever. The days crawled by with agonizing slowness. Tuesday. Wednesday. Thursday. I avoided Adrian's calls, responding only to texts about logistics. Pickup time for the twins. What to pack. Transportation arrangements. The morning sickness hit hard on Wednesday. I barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up. Thankfully the twins had already left for school. I couldn't hide this much longer. Thursday afternoon, I made a decision. The twins deserved to know. Even if I wasn't ready to tell Adrian, even if the timing was terrible, my children deserved honesty. I picked them up from school, took them for ice cream, and drove to their favorite park. The one with the old oak trees and the creek where they used to catch tadpoles when they were little. We sat on a bench overlooking the water. Mila demolished her chocolate cone with her usual enthusiasm. Mason ate his vanilla methodically, never letting it drip. Guys, I need to talk to you about something important. They both turned to look at me. Mila's eyes went wide. Mason's expression became carefully neutral. Am I in trouble? Mila asked. Because if this is about the paint in the bathroom, Mason dared me. You're not in trouble. Neither of you. This is about me. About our family. Mason set down his ice cream cone. Are you sick? The question cut deep. Smart kid. Too smart. No, baby. I'm not sick. Actually, I have news. Good news. I think. I hope. I took a deep breath. I'm going to have a baby. You're going to have a little brother or sister. The silence stretched. Mila's ice cream dripped forgotten onto her hand. Mason stared at me like I just announced we were moving to Mars. Then Mila squealed. A baby. Really? Oh my God, Mom, that's amazing. Can it be a girl? I want a sister. Mason's boring. No offense, Mason. None taken, Mason said dryly. Then to me. Is it Dad's? Of course he'd ask. Of course my analytical son would cut straight to the heart of it. Yes. Does he know? Not yet. Mason's expression shifted. Confusion. Concern. But he's getting married. On Saturday. To Serena. I know. So when are you going to tell him? Mila had stopped bouncing, finally catching up to the complexity of the situation. Wait. Dad doesn't know. But he's marrying Serena. Does Serena know? This is so confusing. Nobody knows except you two. And I need you to not say anything. Not yet. I'll tell your dad after the wedding. I promise. But right now, with everything happening, the timing is just really complicated. Mila's face fell. But Mom, that's lying. You always say we shouldn't lie. It's not lying, baby. It's just waiting for the right time. That sounds like lying with extra steps, Mason said quietly. He was right. Of course he was right. I know this is complicated. I know it's a lot to ask. But just for a few days. Just until after the wedding. Then I'll tell him everything. I promise. They looked at each other. That twin communication thing they'd always had. Some silent conversation happening above my head. Finally Mila spoke. Okay. We won't say anything. But Mom, you have to promise to tell him soon. Dad should know. It's his baby too. I promise. Mason didn't look convinced, but he nodded. We finished our ice cream in silence. On the drive home, Mila chattered excitedly about baby names and nursery colors. Mason stared out the window, quiet and thoughtful. That night, after they'd gone to bed, I heard them talking through their shared wall. She's making a mistake, Mason said. She'll tell him after the wedding. She promised. Dad should know now. Before he marries Serena. This changes everything. It's not our decision, Mason. It's Mom's. That doesn't make it right. I leaned against the wall, listening to my 10-year-old children debate adult ethics, and felt the weight of what I was asking them to carry. Friday arrived. The day before the wedding. The last day of before everything changed. I took the twins shopping for their outfits. Mila chose a purple dress with sparkles. Mason grudgingly agreed to a suit jacket and tie. In the dressing room, helping Mila with her zipper, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Pale. Exhausted. Terrified. You look pretty, Mom, Mila said, seeing my expression. Even when you're tired. I hugged her tight. That night, I laid out the twins' outfits. Polished Mason's shoes. Made sure Mila's dress was wrinkle-free. Packed snacks and activities in case they got bored during the ceremony. All the practical preparations. As if being organized would somehow make tomorrow easier. As if having the right shoes would make watching Adrian marry someone else hurt less. I barely slept. Again. Every time I closed my eyes, I rehearsed scenarios. What I'd say. How Adrian would react. Whether Serena would hate me. Whether I was destroying lives or just being honest. Morning came too fast. Brilliant sunshine. Perfect wedding weather. I helped the twins get ready. Mila couldn't stop talking. Mason was quieter than usual. Both of them kept giving me worried looks. Remember, I said as we drove to Crystal Manor Hotel. Not a word about the baby. I'll tell your dad after the wedding. Okay. Okay, they chorused. But I could see the doubt in Mason's eyes. The struggle in Mila's fidgeting hands. I was asking too much. I knew it. But what choice did I have? Crystal Manor Hotel rose before us like a palace. All marble columns and perfectly manicured gardens. Valets in crisp uniforms. Guests in designer clothes. I felt like an imposter. My dress was nice but not expensive. My shoes were comfortable but not stylish. I didn't belong in this world. Never had. But I was here. For my kids. For Adrian, who deserved to have his children at his wedding. For Serena, who'd been nothing but kind. And because some masochistic part of me needed to see it. Needed to watch him choose someone else. Needed the finality of it. We walked into the lobby. Adrian's assistant spotted us immediately. Ms. Rivers. Mila. Mason. So glad you're here. The family photos are in the garden. This way, please. Family photos. There was that phrase again. Cutting like glass. We followed her through the hotel to a stunning garden. White roses everywhere. String quartet playing. Photographer setting up equipment. And there was Adrian. He turned when we entered, and our eyes met across the garden. For one moment, everything else fell away. The guests. The photographer. Serena somewhere getting ready. Just him and me and 7 years of history. Then Mila ran to him. Dad. He caught her in a hug, smiling that genuine smile he saved for the twins. The one that reminded me of the man I'd fallen in love with. Hey, princess. You look beautiful. Is that a new dress? Mom let me pick it myself. It has sparkles. I see that. Very sparkly. Mason approached more slowly. Adrian pulled him into the hug too. My kids, he said softly. My amazing kids. Then he looked at me over their heads. Danny. Thank you for bringing them. You look beautiful. The compliment felt dangerous. Loaded. Or maybe I was imagining things. It's your day. Of course we be here. The photographer interrupted. Let's start with some shots of Mr. Wolf and the children. I stepped back, watching Adrian pose with Mila and Mason. They looked good together. Happy. Like a real family. Then Serena arrived. She was breathtaking. Her dress was stunning but not over the top. Hair and makeup perfect but natural. She looked like she belonged in a bridal magazine. She smiled when she saw me. Danielle. I'm so glad you could make it. She hugged me. Actually hugged me. And I could smell her perfume. Expensive. Elegant. You look beautiful, I managed. Thank you. So do you. She turned to the twins. And you too. Absolutely gorgeous. Come here, give me hugs. Mila and Mason obliged. I watched Serena with my children and felt something twist in my chest. She was good with them. Patient. Kind. Let's get some photos with everyone, the photographer suggested. So there we were. Adrian and Serena in the center. Mila and Mason on either side. And me, awkwardly positioned off to the left, technically in frame but clearly separate. The visual metaphor was almost too perfect. Click. 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 The camera captured our fake smiles. Our forced togetherness. Beautiful, the photographer said. Just beautiful. After photos, I tried to escape to find my seat for the ceremony. But Adrian caught my arm. Danny. Wait. Can we talk? Just for a minute. Serena was distracted with her bridesmaids. The twins had run off to explore the gardens. We were alone. For the first time since that rainy night 6 weeks ago. What is it? I asked, proud that my voice didn't shake. He looked at me. Really looked at me. Like he used to. Are you okay? Really? You seem different. Off somehow. Tell him, a voice screamed in my head. Tell him now. Before it's too late. But I couldn't. Not here. Not now. Not on his wedding day. I'm fine. Just tired. Busy week. He didn't look convinced. If you need anything. I know, Adrian. You've said. I'm fine. A pause. His hand still on my arm. Touch electric even through fabric. I want you to know, he said quietly. That what happened. That night. I don't regret it. The words hit me like a physical blow. Adrian. I know I should. I know it was wrong. I was engaged. But I don't. Can't. You were always. You're still. Don't. I pulled away. Don't do this. Not today. You're getting married in an hour. To a woman who loves you. Who's good for you. Don't do this. He looked like he wanted to say more. But Serena's laugh carried across the garden, and the moment broke. You're right. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. It's okay. Wedding jitters. Nostalgia. It's normal. He nodded, but his eyes said different. Said everything we weren't saying. Everything we'd never properly said. Then the wedding coordinator called for him, and he was gone. I stood there alone in the garden, one hand unconsciously going to my stomach, tears threatening. The ceremony was beautiful. Of course it was. Adrian never did anything halfway. I sat in the third row with other family friends. Watched Mila and Mason sitting in the front row, perfectly behaved. Watched Adrian at the altar looking handsome and nervous. Watched Serena walk down the aisle like something out of a fairy tale. The officiant began. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Adrian Wolfe and Serena Vale in holy matrimony. Each word felt like a hammer blow. The vows. Adrian promising to love and cherish Serena. To be faithful. To build a life together. Serena promising the same. Her voice clear and confident. No doubts. No hesitation. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. They kissed. The crowd applauded. Mila bounced in her seat with excitement. Mason clapped politely. And I died a little inside. The recession. The receiving line. People congratulating the happy couple. I hung back, trying to be invisible. But Serena spotted me. Danielle. Don't leave yet. Please. Join us for the reception. How could I say no to her kindness? Her genuine desire for me to be included. So I found myself in the reception hall. Hundreds of guests. Crystal chandeliers. Tables covered in white linens and elaborate floral centerpieces. I was seated at a table with other family friends. People I didn't know. Strangers who made polite conversation about weather and Silvercrest Heights traffic. The twins were supposed to sit at the kids' table, but they insisted on staying near me. So there we were. The three of us at a side table. Watching Adrian and Serena's first dance. They looked perfect together. Moving across the floor like they'd been dancing together forever. Mila tugged on my sleeve. "Mom, I don't feel good." My mom radar activated instantly. "What's wrong, baby?" "My stomach hurts. And I feel weird. Like nervous." I put a hand to her forehead. "No fever. Do you need to go to the bathroom?" She shook her head. But she looked pale. Anxious. Mason leaned over. "She's worried about the secret. About telling Dad." "Mason," Mila hissed. "What?" "It's true. You keep saying we should tell him. We promised Mom we wouldn't." "I know, but..." I interrupted before this could escalate. "Guys. Deep breaths. I know this is hard. I know keeping this secret is stressful. But just a few more hours. Then you never have to think about it again. Okay." They both nodded, but neither looked relieved. The toasts began. The best man telling stories about Adrian. Serena's maid of honor talking about their friendship. Each word made this more real. More permanent. Then Adrian took the microphone. "I want to thank everyone for being here today. For celebrating with us. For supporting Serena and me as we start this new chapter." His eyes scanned the room. Found me. Held for just a moment. "I also want to acknowledge my children. Mila and Mason. You two are the best thing I've ever created. Being your father is my greatest achievement. And I promise you that Serena and I will build a family where you feel loved and valued and heard." Mila beamed. Mason smiled. They waved at their dad. Adrian continued. "And I want to thank my ex-wife, Danielle, for raising such incredible children. For being gracious about today. For showing them that families can evolve and change while still being full of love." The room applauded. People turned to look at me. I managed a smile. A nod. Trying to look gracious when I felt like I was drowning. Hit subscribe if you're wondering how she's going to pull this off, because trust me, she doesn't even know herself. After the toasts, dancing began. Guests mingled. The twins got restless. "Can we go explore?" Mila asked. "Stay in the hotel. Don't leave the building. And stay together." They promised and ran off. I sat alone at the table, nursing a glass of sparkling water, trying to be invisible. It didn't work. Adrian approached. "Danny. Dance with me." "I don't think that's a good idea. Please. Just one dance. For the twins. They'd love to see us being friendly." He had a point. And I was too tired to fight. So I let him lead me onto the dance floor. His arms around me. Close enough to smell his cologne. Close enough to remember everything. "You really do look beautiful tonight," he said quietly. "Adrian, stop. I'm just being honest." "Well, don't. It's not fair. Not today. Not when you just married someone else." We swayed in silence. The song was slow. Romantic. Torture. "Do you ever wonder," he said, "what would have happened if we tried harder? If I'd been different? Better?" Every day, I admitted before I could stop myself. His arms tightened around me. "Danny. But it doesn't matter. We can't go back. You're married now. To a woman who deserves better than a husband still hung up on his ex-wife. So please. Let me go. He did. Stepped back. Looking lost. You're right. I'm sorry. I keep crossing lines I shouldn't. It's just seeing you tonight. Being this close. It brings everything back. I know. But we made our choices. We have to live with them. I walked away before he could respond. Before I said something I couldn't take back. Back at the table, I found Mila and Mason had returned. Mila looked more anxious than before. Mom, I really don't feel good. Before I could respond, Serena appeared. Everything okay over here? Mila's not feeling well. I think we might need to. Oh no. Poor thing. Serena crouched down to Mila's level. What hurts, sweetie? My tummy. And my head feels funny. Did you eat something that didn't agree with you? Mila shook her head. Mason jumped in. She's just nervous. About stuff. Serena smiled kindly. Wedding nerves. I get it. I was so nervous this morning I almost threw up 3 times. Big events can be overwhelming. She stood, placing a gentle hand on Mila's shoulder. Why don't you guys take a break? There's a quiet lounge area upstairs if you need some space. Or honestly, if you want to leave early, that's totally fine. This is a lot, and it's sweet that you stayed this long. Her kindness was genuine. Real. Thank you, I managed. We might take you up on that. Of course. And Danielle. Thank you. For being here. For everything. I know this can't be easy, having your ex-husband get remarried. But you've been nothing but gracious. It means everything to Adrian. And to me. She hugged me again. This woman who had every reason to be threatened by me. Who instead chose kindness. After she walked away, I looked at the twins. Let's go upstairs. Get some quiet. We found the lounge. Plush couches. Soft lighting. Blessed silence. Mila curled up next to me. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to ruin the wedding. You didn't ruin anything, baby. You're just overwhelmed. It's a lot. It's the secret, she whispered. It's making my stomach hurt. Keeping it from Daddy feels wrong. Mason sat on my other side. We should just tell him. Now. Get it over with. After the reception, I said. After tonight. Tomorrow morning. I promise. But even as I said it, I knew the truth. Secrets this big don't wait for convenient timing. They demand to be told. They grow and fester and eventually explode. I just didn't know the explosion was minutes away. We rested in the lounge for maybe 20 minutes. Long enough for Mila to calm down. Long enough for me to gather my composure. Ready to go back down, I asked. They nodded. We returned to the reception just as dinner was being served. Elaborate plated meals. Waiters in tuxedos. Everything perfect. I picked at my food. The twins ate with their usual enthusiasm. The tension seemed to have eased. Then Adrian approached our table again. Mind if I join you guys for a minute? The twins scooted over, making space. He sat down between them. Having fun. The food is amazing, Mila said. And the cake looked huge. Wait until you see the dessert table. Serena went all out. He chatted with them easily. Asking about school. About their upcoming birthday. About their plans for summer. I watched him be a dad. Good with them in a way he'd never managed when we were married. Present. Attentive. Like he'd finally figured out what mattered. Too late for us. But good for them. Then he turned to me. Danny, seriously. Are you feeling okay? You barely touched your food. I'm fine. Just not very hungry. Mila piped up before I could stop her. Mom's been tired a lot lately. And she's been throwing up in the mornings. My heart stopped. Adrian's expression shifted. Concerned. Throwing up. Are you sick? Have you seen a doctor? It's nothing, I said quickly. Just a stomach bug. I'm fine. But Mila, bless her honest heart, kept talking. It's not a bug. It's because of Mila. I cut her off. Too sharply. Drawing attention from nearby tables. Adrian noticed. Of course he noticed. Because of what? Nothing. She's confused. Kids always think they know what's wrong. But Mila's face had gone white. She looked at me. Then at Adrian. Then back at me. And I could see her internal struggle. The weight of the secret becoming too much. Mila, I said quietly. Not now. But Mom, he should know. It's not fair. Serena just said families should be honest and. Mila, please. Adrian was watching this exchange with growing confusion. Know what? What's going on? Mason grabbed his sister's hand. Mila, you promised. I know, but it's not right. Keeping secrets. Dad should. And then Serena appeared at our table. Perfect timing. Or terrible timing. Depending on perspective. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to thank Danielle again for coming. And to tell the kids that we're about to cut the cake if they want to come watch. Mila looked at Serena. Then at Adrian. Then at me. And something in her 10-year-old brain made a decision. We have to tell them, she said. Not to me. To Mason. It's not right. Mila, no, I warned. Tell us what, Adrian asked. His voice had an edge now. Concern mixing with confusion. Mila, we promised Mom, Mason said desperately. But Mila was done. The secret had been eating at her for 2 days. The pressure of the wedding. The kindness of Serena. Her own inherent honesty. It all came to a head. Mommy's going to be a mother again, she blurted out. She has a baby in her tummy. The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. The nearby tables went quiet. Conversations died. People turned to stare. Adrian's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Confusion. Shock. Understanding. Horror. Serena's perfectly composed expression cracked. Just slightly. But enough. Mila, I breathed. Not angry. Just devastated. I'm sorry, Mommy. But he should know. It's his baby too. And there it was. The secret I'd carried. The truth I'd tried to hide. Exposed by my 10-year-old daughter's inability to lie. Adrian stood up slowly. Like he was moving through water. Danny. His voice was strangled. Is this true? Every eye in the vicinity was on us now. Guests pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. I looked at Serena. At her kind face now pale with shock. I'm so sorry, I whispered. I never meant. I didn't want it to come out like this. Serena's hand went to her mouth. Adrian took a step toward me. Is it true? Are you pregnant? What choice did I have now? The secret was out. Yes. Is it mine? Yes. The reception hall seemed to tilt. Or maybe that was just me. Everything blurring. Faces staring. Whispers starting like wildfire. Serena made a small sound. Not quite a gasp. Not quite a cry. Adrian's hand went to his face. Rubbing his eyes. The gesture so familiar it hurt. When, he demanded. How? The storm. 6 weeks ago. You came to my apartment. His memory clicked. I could see it in his eyes. Oh God. Serena was backing away. Slowly. Like she couldn't quite believe this was happening. Serena, Adrian said, reaching for her. Please. Let me explain. Explain what? Her voice shook. That you slept with your ex-wife while we were engaged. That she's pregnant. With your child. On our wedding day. I didn't know, he said desperately. I swear I didn't know. She didn't tell me. Serena looked at me. Not with anger. With something worse. Hurt. Betrayal. You knew. All this time. You came to our wedding knowing. I'm sorry, I said, tears streaming now. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. Either of you. The timing was impossible and I'm so sorry. Guests were openly staring now. Phones coming out. This would be on social media within minutes. The scandal of the year. Mila was crying. I didn't mean to ruin everything. I just thought. I thought Dad should know. Adrian crouched down to her level, even as his world was imploding. You did the right thing, princess. You were honest. That's what matters. He stood, looking at Serena. We need to talk. Privately. She nodded numbly. They walked away toward a private corner of the reception hall. Leaving me standing there with my twins and 300 staring guests. Mason grabbed my hand. I'm sorry, Mom. We tried to keep the secret. I know, baby. It's not your fault. This is all on me. Mila was still crying. I ruined Dad's wedding. I pulled them both close, not caring about the stares, the whispers, the judgment. You didn't ruin anything. This was always going to come out. You were honest. And that's never wrong. But even as I comforted them, I watched Adrian and Serena in the corner. Her hands gesturing. His head down. Both of them clearly devastated. And I knew. Whatever happened next. Nothing would ever be the same. Smash that like button if your heart is racing right now, because what happens next will shock you. I don't know how long we stood there. The twins pressed against me. Guests whispering. The reception continuing around us like nothing had happened, even though everything had. Finally, I made a decision. We're leaving. I grabbed the twins' hands and started walking toward the exit. Past staring guests. Past the untouched cake. Past the remains of what should have been a perfect celebration. Adrian's voice stopped me. Danny. Wait. Please. I turned. He was standing there alone. Serena nowhere in sight. Where's your wife? I asked. He flinched at the word. She needed a moment. Please. We need to talk about this. Not here. Not now. Not at your wedding reception. Danny. I'm sorry, Adrian. For all of it. For not telling you sooner. For letting it come out like this. For everything. But I can't do this here. The twins are upset. I'm upset. Everyone's staring. I need to leave. Then let me come with you. We can talk somewhere private. You can't leave your own wedding reception. I don't care about the reception. I care about this. About you being pregnant. About. Christ, Danny, how could you not tell me? Anger flashed through my devastation. When exactly should I have told you, Adrian? When you called about the twins' outfits. When you were thanking me for being so gracious. When you were dancing with your bride. Before today. Any time before today. You were getting married. How was I supposed to? What was I supposed to say? People were definitely listening now. Not even pretending otherwise. Adrian seemed to realize it too. He grabbed my arm, gentler this time. Please. Just give me 5 minutes. Somewhere private. I looked at the twins. Both tear-stained and exhausted. Mason, Mila, can you wait in the lobby for a few minutes? Sit on those big couches by the front desk. I need to talk to your dad. They hesitated. We'll be right outside. I promise. Just a few minutes. Reluctantly, they walked toward the lobby. Adrian led me to a small private room off the main reception hall. Closed the door. Giving us privacy. For a moment, we just stood there. 7 years of marriage. A divorce. One rainy night that changed everything. And now this. I didn't know how to tell you, I said finally. Every time I thought about it, it seemed impossible. Wrong. How do you tell your ex-husband who's about to marry someone else that you're pregnant with his child? By telling him, Adrian said. His voice raw. By trusting that despite everything, despite the divorce and the distance and all of it, I would have wanted to know. Would you? Really? Or would you have resented me? Thought I was trying to trap you? Trying to ruin your new relationship? He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, he admitted. I honestly don't know how I would have reacted. But I deserved the chance to react. To know. This is my child, Danny. Our child. I know. And I was going to tell you. I swear. After the wedding. Tomorrow morning. I had it all planned out. But instead my daughter announced it in the middle of my wedding reception. Despite everything, I almost laughed. She's your daughter. Can't keep her mouth shut when something's bothering her. She gets that from you. Stubborn honesty. Yeah, that's definitely my genetic contribution. We stood in silence. The absurdity of the situation settling over us. What did Serena say? I asked quietly. His face fell. That she needs time. To think. To process. She's hurt. Confused. Betrayed. She has every right to be. I'm sorry. I really am. She's a good person. She doesn't deserve this. No. She doesn't. Are you? Are you going to? I couldn't finish the question. I don't know, he said. We literally just got married an hour ago. And now. God, what a mess. He ran a hand through his hair. The gesture so familiar it made my chest ache. When did it happen? The storm night. That's. We were so careful. I thought. Apparently not careful enough. How far along are you? 6 weeks. Almost 7. Are you? How are you feeling? Morning sickness. Tired. Do you need anything? The practical questions. So typically Adrian. I'm fine. Tired. Nauseous sometimes. But fine. Have you seen a doctor? Not yet. I have an appointment next week. I want to be there. At the appointment. And all the others. I want to. I want to do this right, Danny. I know I wasn't there enough when you were pregnant with the twins. I know I failed you as a husband and as a partner. But I want to do better now. The sincerity in his voice broke something in me. You're married, Adrian. To someone else. Someone you love. You can't prioritize me and this pregnancy over your marriage. I slept with my ex-wife while engaged. Got her pregnant. Had it revealed at my wedding reception. I'm pretty sure my marriage might not survive the night anyway. The words hung heavy between us. Don't, I said. Don't blow up your marriage for me. For this. We can co-parent. We've been doing it successfully for years. This doesn't have to change anything between you and Serena. It changes everything. You know it does. Because you're letting it. Adrian, you have a chance at happiness. With Serena. Don't throw that away because of one mistake we both made. He looked at me. Really looked at me. What if it wasn't a mistake? My breath caught. What? That night. What if it wasn't a mistake? What if it was? What if some part of me has been looking for an excuse? A reason. A way back to you. Adrian, stop. I can't. Not anymore. Seeing you tonight. Learning about the baby. It's like the universe is screaming at me to pay attention. To wake up. To stop trying to replace what I lost and fight for it instead. You can't say these things. You just married Serena. You made vows. Promises. I made vows to you too. 7 years ago. And I broke them. I let work consume me. Let ambition replace love. Let you slip away because I was too stupid to see what I had until it was gone. Tears were streaming down my face now. It's too late, Adrian. We're divorced. You're married. I'm pregnant. Everything is such a mess and we can't. We can't fix this by pretending we can go back. I don't want to go back. I want to go forward. But forward with you. With our kids. All 3 of them. What about Serena? The question stopped him. Because Serena. Kind, gracious, perfect Serena. She deserved better than this. Better than a husband who couldn't let go of his ex-wife. Better than being second choice. I don't know, Adrian said quietly. I care about her. Deeply. But when I was standing at that altar saying my vows, some part of me was thinking about you. Wishing. And that's not fair to her. No. It's not. So what do we do? You talk to your wife. You figure out your marriage. And I go home with the twins and we all take some time to breathe and process and figure out what comes next. And the baby. We'll be fine. We'll figure out custody. Co-parenting. Just like we did with Mila and Mason. We don't have to decide everything tonight. He stepped closer. Too close. What if I don't want to wait? What if I want to? Danny, I never stopped loving you. Not really. I just got lost. Got distracted. Convinced myself I could move on. But seeing you tonight. Knowing you're carrying my child. I can't. I can't pretend anymore. Adrian. His name came out as a whisper. A plea. Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me that night meant nothing. Tell me you're over me and I'll back off. I'll figure things out with Serena and we'll co-parent professionally and that's it. I should have lied. Should have protected us both. Instead, I told the truth. I can't. I can't tell you that because it wouldn't be true. But that doesn't change reality. You're married. I'm a mess. We have 3 kids to think about. Feelings aren't enough. They weren't enough 7 years ago and they're not enough now. What if we made them enough? What if we actually tried? Really tried. No half measures. No work coming first. No distance. Just us. Fighting for this. Before I could answer, the door opened. Serena stood there. Still in her wedding dress. Makeup smudged from crying. But composed. Dignified. "I think we need to talk," she said quietly. "All of us." So we did. In that small room off the reception hall, while 300 guests ate cake and danced and gossiped about the scandal unfolding. Serena sat down across from us. Folded her hands in her lap. "I want to understand," she said. "Not judge. Not yell. Just understand. When did this happen? How?" Adrian and I looked at each other. Then he explained. The storm. His visit. The conversation that led to more. The one night. The mistake. Serena listened without interrupting. When he finished, she turned to me. "And you didn't tell him? Why?" "Because he was marrying you. Because the timing was impossible. Because I was a coward." "Did you want him back? Is that why you slept with him?" The directness of the question cut deep. "I don't know," I admitted. "I was lonely. He was vulnerable. We have history. Feelings that never really went away. But I wasn't trying to sabotage your relationship. I swear." Serena nodded slowly. "Adrian." She turned to him. "Be honest. Do you love me?" He hesitated. And in that hesitation, she had her answer. "You love her," Serena said. Not a question. A statement. "I care about you deeply." "That's not what I asked." "Do you love her?" Another pause. "Yes. I do. I'm sorry. I thought I could. I thought we could build something. And we could have. You're amazing. But I never fully let go of Danny. I tried. I really tried. But I failed." Serena's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. "I appreciate your honesty. Even if it's devastating to hear." "Serena, I'm so sorry." She held up a hand. "I know. And I believe you. But sorry doesn't change the situation. You love her. She's pregnant with your child. And I deserve someone who loves me first. Not second. Not as a consolation prize." The grace in her words made me cry harder. "You do," I said. "You deserve so much better than this. Than us. Than any of this mess." She looked at me. Not with anger. With something like understanding. "Can I ask you something? Were you planning to tell him?" "Really?" "Yes. Tomorrow morning. After the wedding." I know that's convenient to say now, but yes. The secret was killing me. And the twins deserved to have their father know about their sibling. Serena nodded. "I believe you. I don't think you're a bad person, Danielle. I think you're someone who made a difficult situation worse by trying to avoid hurting people. But the hurt happened anyway. It always does with secrets." She stood. Smoothed down her wedding dress. "I think we should annul the marriage. We can cite. I don't know. Fraud. Misrepresentation. Something. My lawyer will figure it out." "Serena, please," Adrian stood too. "Let's think about this. Take some time." "I've had enough time. In the last hour. In that corner while you were talking to Danielle. I had enough time to realize that I'm marrying someone who's in love with someone else. And I won't do that to myself. I deserve better. She turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, Adrian. I think you're a good man who lost his way. I hope you find it again. And Danielle. I hope you both figure out what you really want. For your kid's sake if nothing else. Then she walked out, leaving us in the wreckage of her wedding day. Adrian sank into a chair, head in his hands. What have I done? I corrected. What have we done? This isn't just on you. I need to. The guests. The reception. I should. You should let your wedding planner handle it. Make some excuse. You feeling ill. Emergency. Something. And then you should go home. Get some sleep. Figure out what comes next in the morning. He looked up at me. What comes next? I don't know. But we'll figure it out. Together. For the twins. For this baby. For ourselves. Does this mean? Are we? Is there a chance? I don't know, I cut him off. I don't know anything right now except that I'm exhausted and overwhelmed and I need to get my kids home. Right. Of course. Let me walk you out. We found the twins in the lobby. They jumped up when they saw us. Are you okay? Mila asked. Is Dad okay? Is Serena? Everyone will be okay, I said, hoping it was true. Eventually. Adrian crouched down to their level. I'm not mad at you, Mila. I want you to know that. You told the truth. That took courage. But I ruined your wedding. The wedding was. It was complicated. But you didn't ruin anything. You were honest. That matters most. He hugged them both. Long and tight. I love you guys. So much. And I love your mom. And I'm going to figure out how to do better. How to be better. I promise. They hugged him back. My beautiful, resilient children caught in the middle of adult complications. Finally, we broke apart. I herded the twins toward the door. Danny, Adrian called. I turned. The doctor's appointment. Next week. Text me the details. I'll be there. I nodded. Then we left. Walked out into the cool evening air. Away from the reception. Away from the scandal. Away from everything. In the car, Mila spoke up. Mom. Are you and Dad? Are you getting back together? I don't know, baby. It's complicated. But he loves you. He said so. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes there's too much history. Too much hurt. But there's also a baby, Mason pointed out. Our sibling. That has to count for something. Out of the mouths of babes. It counts for a lot, I said. Everything. And we'll figure it out. I promise. That night, after the twins were asleep, I sat on my bed staring at my phone. 3 missed calls from Adrian. 5 texts. I'm sorry. Please let me know you got home safely. We need to talk about next steps. About the baby. About us. About everything. Please don't shut me out. And finally, sent just minutes ago. I love you, Danny. I never stopped. I'm sorry it took this disaster for me to admit it. I'm sorry for everything. But I'm not sorry about the baby. About having another piece of you and me in the world. I know I don't deserve another chance. But I'm asking anyway. Please. Let's try. Really try. Let me show you I've changed. Let me be the man you needed me to be 7 years ago. I read the text 3 times. Tears streaming down my face. Then I typed a response. Meet me for breakfast tomorrow. We'll talk. Really talk. About everything. No promises. No expectations. Just honesty. His response came immediately. Thank you. I'll be there. Name the place and time. I gave him details. Then set my phone aside and placed both hands on my stomach. Your dad is a complicated man, I whispered to the tiny life growing there. But he's trying. We're all trying. And maybe that's enough. Maybe trying is where love actually lives. 3 months later. I sat in the doctor's office, Adrian beside me, both of us staring at the ultrasound screen. There's your baby, the technician said, pointing. Strong heartbeat. Everything looks perfect. Adrian squeezed my hand. His eyes were wet. We'd been doing this. Breakfast once a week. Therapy twice a month. Rebuilding trust brick by painful brick. He'd stepped back from Tech Vanguard. Hired a CEO to run daily operations. Made good on his promise to prioritize family. He showed up. Every appointment. Every middle of the night craving. Every moment of morning sickness. He was there. We weren't living together. Weren't rushing into anything. Just dating. Like we were starting over. Mila and Mason were thrilled. Cautiously optimistic that their parents might find their way back to each other. Serena had been gracious in the annulment. Had even sent me a note. I hope you both find what you're looking for. And I hope the baby is healthy. Those kids of yours are lucky to have you fighting for them. After the ultrasound, Adrian walked me to my car. Danny. I know we're taking things slow. I know you're not ready. But I want you to know. I'm in this. Completely. For as long as it takes. Whether we end up together or just co-parenting. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw the changes. The effort. The man he was becoming. I know, I said. And that matters. More than you know. He kissed my forehead. Gentle. Reverent. I'll see you this weekend. Picking up the twins at 3. We'll be ready. As I drove home, one hand on my stomach, I thought about secrets and truth and the ways life refuses to follow our plans. Sometimes the biggest explosions lead to the most important conversations. Sometimes you have to lose everything to understand what truly matters. Sometimes love alone isn't enough, but love plus effort, plus presence, plus genuine change just might be. 6 months later. Emma Rose Wolf-Rivers entered the world at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Adrian's eyes. My determination. He cut the cord, tears streaming down his face. Mila and Mason met their baby sister that afternoon. Both completely smitten. We took a photo. All 5 of us. Adrian and me not married. Not even officially back together. But together. Building something new from the ashes of what we'd lost. That evening, after visiting hours ended, after the twins had gone home with Adrian's mother, after the nurses had checked on us for the 4th time, Adrian sat beside my hospital bed, holding Emma. Thank you, he said quietly. For giving me another chance. For letting me be here. For trusting me with this. You're her father. Where else would you be? I mean with us. With trying again. I know it's not official. I know we're not making promises. But Danny. These last few months. Being with you, with the kids, being present instead of distracted. This is the life I always wanted. I just got so lost I couldn't see it. I reached for his hand. I see you now. The real you. The man I fell in love with. He's still there. You just had to remember. I want to ask you something. And you can say no. I won't push. But I need you to know. Need you to hear it. He set Emma gently in her hospital bassinet. Then got down on one knee beside my bed. I stopped breathing. I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. Not until you're ready. But I want you to know. That's where this is heading. Where my heart is heading. Back to you. To us. To forever. And when you're ready. If you're ever ready. I'll be here. Waiting. Working. Proving every single day that I'm worth the risk. Tears streamed down my face. Adrian. You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. That you're it for me. You always were. I just lost my way. But I've found it again. Found you again. And this time I'm not letting go. I pulled him close. Kissed him. Really kissed him. For the first time since that rainy night that changed everything. Ask me again, I whispered. In 6 months. After you've proven it's not just new baby endorphins talking. After we've weathered some storms. After I'm sure. I'll ask you every 6 months for the rest of my life if that's what it takes. You're ridiculous. I'm in love. There's a difference. We sat there in the hospital room. Our baby sleeping peacefully. Our other kids at home dreaming of their little sister. Our broken marriage slowly mending. Not a fairy tale ending. But a real one. Built on honesty, accountability, and the belief that people can change if they want it badly enough. Sometimes the truth that destroys everything is the same truth that sets you free to build something better. Sometimes secrets explode at the worst possible moment and create the space for the conversations that should have happened years ago. Sometimes 10-year-old twins exposing your pregnancy at your ex-husband's wedding is exactly the disaster you needed. And sometimes, just sometimes, love gets a second chance. Not because it's easy. Not because it's simple. But because two broken people decide to try. Really try. To be better. To do better. To build something worth keeping. One day at a time. One conversation at a time. One choice at a time. To show up. To be present. To remember that love isn't just a feeling. It's action. And that makes all the difference. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in second chances, or if you've ever had to rebuild what was broken, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what you'd do in Danielle's situation. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to choose what truly matters. And remember, sometimes the truth that destroys everything is the same truth that sets you free to build something better. Because in the end, it's not about perfect love stories. It's about real ones. The messy, complicated, beautifully imperfect kind that requires work and courage and the willingness to try again. That's where the magic lives. In the trying. In the showing up. In choosing love, not just once, but every single day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next story.